back. I apologize for just sucking at getting new videos uploaded, or blog posts actually. But if you've been following my journey through Instagram, you've seen that I've been posting through there. So if you don't follow me, you should follow me on there because then you'll get some updates. But what I wanted to do today was do a video about some of the realizations that I've had doing research about adoption. So my big research project for school, I am able to do it on adoption, and more specifically I'm doing it on the factors and supports and tools that influence a positive integration into a forever family, with an emphasis on the factors that, or like a secondary goal that kind of lean towards broken adoptions. So yeah, that's been really cool. It's been like days and days of research, and I am just about done with the final product of it. So that will be up either on my Instagram or some other platform so people can read it. But with research, there has been a lot of knowledge that's just been stuck here, and a lot of like revealing knowledge. So I just wanted to share with you some of the tidbits that I am learning and things that, yeah, I'm just processing through, I guess. So I think one of the biggest things that has really kind of just stuck with me inside and just stirred up some uncomfortable feeling. Not even uncomfortable, just... So there's this idea of high-risk adoption, and in one of my articles I was reading about factors that deem adoptions as high risk, and some of them are adopting a child over the age of 3, me, adopting multiple sibling groups, not really, but my brother and I, who's not my biological brother, came with, so there were 2 adoptions at one time, so we're going to count that. Transracial adoption, different ethnicity, so yes. The child being diagnosed with special needs, mental health, emotional or physical need, and or multiple foster placements. So again, my brother was diagnosed, we were both diagnosed with a couple of things. And like I talked about in a previous video, they don't allow adoptions and they don't allow children to go into orphanages unless there is something deemed wrong with them. That may not be the actual reality, but for them to be placed into an orphanage, initially there must be something. Later it was discovered that my brother does have some needs that are very individualized to him, and just with any adoption there's a slew of things, so we're up to 4. And then anytime there's the initial adoption process, the initial integration process, so like when the child is first moved into a forever home, that kind of period of time is also should be considered high risk just because of all the newness of the relationship. So like every single one was checked. And high risk means that they are at higher risk for experiencing a broken adoption, which means parents basically resort to placing the child back into the system, or the rights of the adopter are terminated permanently, indefinitely, anything like that. So that's the one that's been really like gut punching, because I wonder if my parents knew the factors of high risk adoptions and knew what they were, not what they were up against, but just what the reality was of it, if they would have approached the situation in a different light. If they had known more, I wonder what would shift and what would change, and would it be for the better? I mean, and again, because we were the first ones through our agency, so there was not a lot of prerequisites that needed to occur. There was nothing that needed, yes, there were background checks, home studies, all of that kind of thing, but looking back and looking at all the files, like there should have been more. There just should have been more. And I think that sets both parties up for failure. That sets the child up for failure, and that sets the adoptive parents up for failure, because they're not seeing the reality of it and not being introduced with supports and tools that can help. Because you totally can have a child that has checks in all 5 of those areas, and it can still be a successful adoption. It can still be one that the child integrates and attaches properly and successfully integrates into adulthood. And you can have the other side. If you're not known, if you don't know, the struggle areas, you're just running with the head of like, oh, I hope this works. And how unfortunate is that? So that's been something that's just been circling up there. So within that, there was, throughout all of the articles I read, there was like a huge emphasis on pre-adoptive parents to fully grasp the depth of the child's hurt that they have walked through prior to adoption. And I don't think my parents did that. And again, I haven't asked them, but just in the actions and just in, like, I feel there's more emphasis on it these days than there was back then. And it'll take more research to kind of study how adoption processes happened at the time I was adopted versus now, but I don't think there was like a whole lot of education around, hey, this is what your child's carrying, this is what they're bearing in their souls. How are you able to support them? How are you able to come in and say like, hey, it's not going to be like it was before, it's going to be okay, and we're going to get through this together, and my love is not going to walk out. And yeah, I wish, I don't know, my overarching question through all of this research has been like, for myself personally, is like, I wonder if my parents had read these articles or had known this information, how would it have shifted? How would the experience have been different for both us and for them? Because quite honestly, I'm in a broken family. I'm in a completely broken family. Like, I am one of those ones that, so, and that's not to say that they didn't try and they didn't do their best. Like, they for sure did, and they had good intentions to begin with. I believe that. But there has to be some awareness and sadness that it could have been better if all of this information was relayed. And I fully understand that the past is the past. You can't change it. There's no reason to dwell in it. But I don't think I'm dwelling. I think I'm just realizing like, whoa, it could have been different, and like experiencing the sadness that comes along with that. It's justified sadness. So kudos to any of you who are adopting or who have been adopted and their parents have done extensive research, because it's so important. I could probably go on and on and on about all of the things that I've been learning through this research. It's been super amazing. I'm not going to bore you with a 400-hour video though, so through Instagram and through other platforms, I'll just keep sharing what I've been learning and never stop researching and never stop learning, because it's such a cool, thing to learn, but also like to be on this side of the perspective of I've bet it, it's just really cool. And I want to adopt when I'm older, so getting the wealth of knowledge now so I'm not walking into it with this ideal situation that won't happen, because that's not how it's going to happen, and then be disappointed. Like, I'm going to have an accurate picture. Also a really cool thing happened this past week. I had been talking with a dear friend of mine about how my goal in life is to do a TED Talk, just to keep sharing my story and my testimony and all of these different things. And she was like, well, it takes, it's small things every day that lead to it. And I was like, yep, to build my empire, and so it's just like putting your name out there, whatever it is, or just continue doing these videos, and then like somebody will, but that evening, not even 8 hours later, I got a message through Instagram saying, from this woman who works in a different state at a place that holds, and they place young adults and children who are in this transitional facility into forever homes or like in a halfway house, whatever it is. And she wanted to know if I'd be interested in sharing a little bit of my story with the kiddos. And so I was like, what? what? Like, so I texted my friend. I was like, blah, 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 this just happened. She's like, this is not a coincidence. This is not a drill. So I'm really excited. And so I'm going to be doing it over Skype because they don't live in the state, and just piecing together what I think is valuable for them to know, and just what I feel was really helpful when I was in that space and in that time period. Whoa, that made me sound real old in that time period. But I'm really excited because this is going to be a great opportunity to hear feedback and to see what are the things that are important on my heart that I really actually want to share. And what a cool, like, it was just so cool. So I'm just so excited. So that's a plus. And just with that, I'm just going to continue sharing my story. I'm just going to continue sharing on Instagram, sharing on Facebook, whatever it is. I'm not going to stop. I feel like I say it in every video. I'm not going to stop. But also, I've decided that I am going to go through the, what is it called? The Lutheran Social Services, there we go, through there to get a caseworker and for them to review my file and my case, and just pay the money, because I thought I had some really good sources and good ways and outlets to get information, but none of them have really pulled through, so which I'm okay with. I mean, I started like a big can, I think it's a flowering pot actually, and started saving for my trip for Ukraine next summer. So I want to kind of get it on the road so that I don't go to Ukraine without knowing my birth parents or my birth, anybody, and then come back and then like a month later and discover them and be like, oh, I really don't have the money. I just was there though. So I'm gonna just give the $60 and just hopefully if some information comes up, I mean, then I'll be like, gosh, why didn't I do it the first time? But if not, then we can just kind of cross that off the list. And if that doesn't work, I'm not really sure what avenue to go. But we'll cross that bridge when it gets there. So that's a little update on the adoption search. There's really been nothing. But I'm going to take the left field and just reapply for a caseworker and wait the 6 to 8 weeks to get one. And, we'll be in summer by then. But, yeah. So that's it. That's all I have. So hope you all have a good day. Subscribe if you won't. No, just subscribe. Hopefully it won't be a month and a half until the next video rolls around. All right. Well, get outside. Go enjoy this weather. Talk to you later.